The Great Trial. Gandhi's Fight for Indian Independence, 1919 to 1922. The First World War was over, but in March 1919 the British government introduced a law in India which allowed them to imprison people without trial. Gandhi was extremely angry about these laws. He traveled to Delhi and then to Madras to talk to other leaders about fighting against them. In Madras, he stayed with Chakravarti Rajagopalachari, a lawyer who had sent money to Gandhi in South Africa and who wanted to work with him. Gandhi's idea was that the whole of India should stop working for one day. During that day, everyone would fast and pray. Some Indian leaders were already in prison, but others joined Gandhi. The writer and Congress leader Sarojini Naidu, who had met Gandhi in London in 1914, joined the fight against the laws. She had described Gandhi in 1917 as a dreamer of impossible dreams, a strange man with a calm, gentle smile. Across the whole of India, rich and poor, Hindus and Muslims listened to Gandhi. On the 6th of April, everyone stopped working. In Bombay, Gandhi spoke to a crowd of 5,000 Muslims before they went to pray. Vallabhbhai Patel helped, and Jawaharlal Nehru joined the strike in Allahabad. There was some violence in Delhi and in Ahmedabad. In Amritsar, in the Punjab province in the far north of India, 3 British bankers were killed by an angry crowd after the government had arrested 2 leaders. Then, on the 13th of April 1919, a crowd of 20,000 people went to a meeting in Jallianwala Bagh, a garden with tall buildings on every side. A new British officer, General Dyer, was commanding the soldiers in Amritsar. He had said that no meetings were allowed, but many people in the crowd did not know about this order. General Dyer took soldiers to Jallianwala Bagh, and without warning he ordered them to shoot. There was no escape for the crowd because the soldiers stood at the only exit. Probably more than 1,000 people were killed and more than 1,000 were injured. People all over the world heard about this terrible crime. Many British people were ashamed of the Amritsar murders, but others collected money for General Dyer, who became ill and left India. The memorial at Jallianwala Bagh. After this, Gandhi wanted the end of British government in India, but he was ashamed of the violence of the crowds too. He believed that the strike had been a mistake because people were not ready for satyagraha. He needed more people who were trained to control the crowds. He began to teach people about satyagraha by writing for 2 newspapers, Young India in English and Navajivan in Gujarati. In October 1919, the government allowed Gandhi to visit the Punjab for the first time. Many leaders were in prison, but Motilal Nehru and Charles Andrews came to meet him in Lahore. A great crowd met him at the railway station, and for 3 months he traveled through the province, talking to people about the political situation and about the spinning wheel and the material called khadi. Gandhi wanted poor villagers to be able to make their own clothes cheaply. He learned to spin in 1917 and began to make cotton material for his own clothes. Gandhi loved his spinning wheel and used it every day for the rest of his life. The cotton from the spinning wheel was called khadi, and it was thicker and rougher than factory cotton. More and more people began wearing clothes made of khadi. Gandhi did not like the way that factories and machines had changed the lives of villagers and taken away their jobs. He wanted rich and poor people to become closer. He believed that rich people should work like everyone else and use their money, land, and factories to help other people. Gandhi continued to travel to many cities and villages, speaking to great crowds about Muslims and Hindus working together, about changing Indian life, about spinning, and about untouchables. When Gandhi's train was going through a town, crowds came from the towns and villages to see him. Gandhi was patient with the crowds, but at times they made it difficult for him to sleep or rest. In 1920, Gandhi and other leaders told the Indian people that they should stop working with the British. It was time for India to have its own government. Lawyers stopped working in the courts, bankers left their jobs, and people stopped paying taxes. Nehru, Mahadev Desai, and Rajagopalachari were all sent to prison. The brothers Muhammad and Shaukat Ali, who had first met Gandhi in 1915, and Abdul Kalam Azad, a Muslim writer and Congress leader from Calcutta, were all sent to prison. By January 1922, there were about 30,000 Indians in prison. Gandhi decided that he would not speak on Mondays. He was working very hard to change India, but he needed some private time. He kept this habit of silent Mondays until the end of his life. Perfect truth is in silence alone, he wrote. He also decided to shorten his dhoti. Because khadi was more expensive than factory cloth, a shorter dhoti would be cheaper for poor people to wear. Gandhi wanted all Indians to stop wearing clothes that were not made in India. In August 1921, Gandhi began to ask people to burn foreign material and clothes. Tagore and Andrews disagreed with Gandhi about this. Gandhi told Tagore that the poor needed work, and he continued his campaign. In February 1922, there was violence in several cities, and in Chauri Chaura, in Uttar Pradesh, an angry crowd killed a group of police. Gandhi felt responsible. He collected a team to work on a new teaching program called the Constructive Program 1E. Workers were sent to schools to ask them to accept untouchable children. They took spinning wheels to homes and talked to villagers about Hindus and Muslim 1S working together. In March 1922, police arrived at the ashram and arrested Gandhi because he was writing against the government. He was taken to the nearby Sabarmati prison, and a week later he was taken to court. He used the trial to explain his ideas. Gandhi agreed that he had some responsibility for the violence in the country. Judge Broomfield said that Gandhi was different from any other person who had ever been in his court. He realized that Gandhi had always spoken against violence, but it was his job to judge Gandhi by the law. The judge sent Gandhi to prison for 6 years. At midnight, Gandhi was taken from Sabarmati prison. He was put on a special train and taken 1,300 kilometers away to Yeravda prison in Pune, south of Bombay. He took with him his spinning wheel and his holy books. Gandhi was happy to go to prison because it was part of the fight against the British government. The more Indians in prison, the more difficult it was for the British government to control India. At Yeravda prison, Gandhi was locked in his room alone and allowed to walk outside for only a short time each day. He was allowed to write 1 letter every 3 months. He could borrow books from the prison library, and he read for 6 hours each day. He used his spinning wheel for 4 hours each day. But in January 1924, after nearly 2 years in prison, Gandhi became seriously ill and was quickly taken to the hospital in Pune. Gandhi was so ill that he had to stay in hospital for 2 months, and the government decided to release him.